Carmelo Anthony turned back the clock in last night's return to Madison Square Garden, delivering a 26-point performance. It was his biggest scoring output since returning to the NBA in November. But it wasn't enough as his former Knicks squad took down the Blazers 117-93. Now, was Melo's night a big deal or no big deal? Who wants to take that first?
I'll take it. I think, it's a nostalgic type of thing. Obviously Melo being a former Knick that he is and having all those years, but this is not a big deal. I don't think this is a big deal. Listen, Melo is a walking bucket. Okay, that's the one thing we can scrutinize any part of Melo's game, the defense and all those type of things. But the one thing that no one can dispute about Carmelo Anthony is putting the ball in the bucket. So the fact that Carmelo Anthony went into MSG, a play that he has an affinity for, and dropped 26 on the Knicks, that doesn't shock me or anything like that. And I think moving forward, does he push the needle for the Portland Trailblazers? That's my thing.
We're talking about the Knicks. We're talking about the NBA. I know I'm not Stephen A. I am Chin A, but I will come correct.
Okay.
All right, let me tell you something.
Okay.
It is a big deal. Yeah. We have to celebrate the Knicks. They're on a 3-game winning streak. Okay? And the idea that they had a win-win scenario yesterday is one we should absolutely celebrate.
Okay.
Now, a year ago, we did not, even 2 months ago, we did not think Carmelo Anthony would be in the league.
Right.
And it's been one of those issues of perception versus reality. People perceived him to be a ball hog. People perceived him to not give up those walking buckets for other people. The reality is he is fully capable of. And the Portland Trailblazers, they needed a boost. They're struggling this season. What happened last season to where they are now has been a disappointment. The fact that Carmelo can bring life is one thing we should celebrate. The fact that he can bring, the Madison Square Garden is sort of like looking at one of your exes, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, you look good, but we're on 2 different paths. It was a win-win scenario. I wish more people enjoyed it.
Let me ask you this,
we have to celebrate the Knicks right now.
But and specifically as it relates to Carmelo, doesn't this kind of unfortunately embody his career? Yeah. Huge night, big numbers, a lot of potential, scoring baskets. They lost the game. Doesn't this kind of embody Carmelo's career, that performance?
I believe they were a -9 when he was on the floor also. So, and they lost the game.
But in fairness, C.J. McCollum struggled. It wasn't the best game for his supporting cast as well.
And I know plus minus is a flawed stat, but it's an interesting thing to point out. But I personally still think it's a big deal because of how Carmelo was a big deal in this league. So, having a proper goodbye and an opportunity to shine a little bit and be proud of himself going away, I think that's a big deal. It's something I'm happy about seeing. Of course, it's not going to change the dynamics in the Western Conference. The Trailblazers weren't going to win the finals without him. They're not going to get to or win the finals with him. Hopefully they make the playoffs, but that may not even happen. But that doesn't mean we can't appreciate and enjoy what he's doing out there right now. So I want to celebrate it. I like it. I love it in the city. I know some people pretend like he's from New York, but I'm from Baltimore, and that's where he's really from. So I'm happy to see him doing this thing.
I'll say this. I think it's a huge deal for Melo. I think it's a huge deal for Melo stands. Is it a huge deal for the nature of the NBA and how the nature of the NBA is perceived? I don't think so. Is it a big deal for the Blazers? Like you said, not necessarily. But when you're talking about one of the greats in at least my generation, which is Melo, one of the great scorers, one of the greats who you look up to when you're shooting basketballs
in the
backyard.
Our generation.
I know. I'll say mine, like me and you. I don't know. These old heads.
Yeah,
they grades are showing. I think it's a huge deal for
Fine
Melo.
wine. Fantastic.
No, I think, we don't know how many opportunities we will be able to celebrate the Knicks getting a win-win, winning, and then also seeing Melo ball out because in the future we don't know what will hold for him. So we have to appreciate it. And
all right, Sinead, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Always a pleasure. Always so much fun.
Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube.
For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app.
And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.